So what's the benefit to people who are on a journey? I mean, there's many people out there, billions of dollars worth of self-help books and seminars and, gurus selling their wares. What are the benefits of going to speak to these people? Is there any benefit? Are people wasting their time reading these books and going to these seminars?
Absolutely not. I think they're not wasting the time. The books and the seminars are opening their mind. But ultimately, the only person that can open your heart is you. You're the only one who can open your heart. I mean, the first step is to open your mind.
Yeah.
But to experience what you now know, and you've expanded your knowledge, to have wisdom in your life, you have to experience what you know. And it's that direct experience that gives you the wisdom of what you know.
You used the analogy once, use them as signposts, but they can't be the actual...
Yeah, I mean, everybody shares different... See, this is the thing. Everybody's sharing a version of the truth. Me speaking, I'm speaking from a version of the truth. The only person that can actually experience and have a direct experience of the truth is the individual. But as soon as you speak about the truth, and I'm experiencing the truth within me, I experience it. There's no doubt about that. And I'm having a direct experience of that in my life, and I'm living by that. But as soon as I speak about it, then I'm putting words, which are a form of labels and judgments.
Yeah.
So now the person who's listening to me is not actually getting the truth; they're getting a different version of the truth. But if they don't just listen with their head and listen with their heart, well, then where the words are coming from, me and the person listening are one. Then they'll be able to have an experience of the truth. And when you have an experience of the truth, you realize there was never anything that needed to be fixed, improved, or changed. I mean, the only time that you have to fix, improve, change, or get rid of something in your life is when you don't know who you are.
A lot of people, they'll say, well, I don't really know what I love. I don't know what my passion or my purpose is. And, I fought with that for a really long time. And you're saying, look, follow the thing that you love, follow your passion, give up your job and do what you love. But how do you find what that love is?
It's really simple. That love is something that doesn't have an agenda attached to it. That love, it doesn't have a story. It's not like, do this because then you're going to be famous. Do this because then you're going to have more credibility. It's do this because I love to.
Yeah.
There is no agenda. And if you don't know what it is that your passion is or what your inspiration is, know this, your inspiration talks to you in feelings. It's not you sitting there thinking, thinking if I do this and I'll plan this and I'll strategize this. It's not that. It comes to you intuitively. We've all felt sometimes a moment where we've felt something, and when we felt this inspiration, it comes to us in a feeling that we feel in our being, in our body. And then it may be an idea or to do something, and with that idea, with that thought, with that feeling comes the accountability, the courage to go and act that out. But then you start to think about it and going, how can I make that happen? And then you actually notice that you actually talked yourself out of it. Yeah. And the other thing I would like to add to that is that if you don't know what you love to do, start doing the things that you don't love to do. Work way backwards. If you want to understand this logically, go, well, okay, these are the things I don't love to do. Start writing the things that you don't love to do, and start by going, okay, I don't know, no longer going to do this. And start with the small things. I'm not saying go and quit your job. Start slowly. Take a smaller step, take a bigger step, and take a big. That will ultimately lead you to what you truly love.
Okay. What advice would you give to someone who goes, okay, well, I really understand what you're saying. It makes perfect sense, but now I need some steps to take to overcome my fears because I'm scared to death of losing the securities that have held me up for the last 20, 30 years.
The idea is not to try to run away from those fears. The idea is not to resist those fears, because it's in the act of resisting those fears that we go and try to fix, improve, or change things. The idea is to become aware of those fears and actually transcend them. And the idea is, the way you transcend those fears is by completely embracing it. See, we think to ourselves, if we're experiencing fear, then we're unsuccessful. If we experience failure, then we're unsuccessful. It's not true. I mean, we both experience both positive and negative emotions. We experience both success and failure continuously in our life. The idea is to embrace both feelings. We try to run towards one feeling and resist one feeling, and we know that whatever you resist will ultimately persist. If it doesn't go away, the idea is not to try to change that, but it's to embrace that. And when you embrace both the positive and the negatives, that actual fear, when you embrace that, then you will feel the fear, and you give yourself permission to do it anyway, and then you will transcend that fear. Yeah, it's not like you've fixed that fear or you improved it or you change the form of it. The fear, you've transcended.
Okay. All right. And so, in your life, I mean, what do you do? What do you do that you love? What are you doing now that you love? What is your work? What is your passion?
Every day in my life, I'm doing what I love. You know, I get up in the mornings and I'm inspired to go for a jog, because that's what I'm inspired to do. You know, I originally started to feel inspired to walk, and I would walk. Then the walk became into walk, run. Then the walk, run became run. And so every morning I get up and I do what I love to do. I start my day with a jog. Every day, because that's what I enjoy to do. I'm not doing it out of need. It's not because I love to do that. Okay. Then I always go to my favorite coffee shop in Bondi Beach, Speedo's Cafe. And I have a coffee there, have some breakfast, and then I sit down and then I feel like meditating. So then I'll go and meditate. Then the rest of the day, Geoff, it's just what I feel. I mean, my passion is what I'm speaking to you about right now. I want to share this with as many people who are willing to listen to it. That's my passion, and that's what I do. So I speak about this, I write about this, and you know, just before you came, you know, I had a guy and I was coaching him about this. So I consult about it. So all I'm doing every day, I mean, this is my life. It's got nothing to do with how much money I have. It's got nothing to do with, you know, my credibility or my status in life. It's because my credibility or my security comes from within.
You told me once about being on stage and someone said to you something along the lines of, how dare you call yourself a philosopher? Who the hell are you to say this stuff? And you said to them something, what did you say? Do you remember?
Well, they said, what makes you a philosopher?
That's right. What makes you a philosopher?
And I shared with them that, look, what I'm sharing is for the people that are drawn to listen to it. If you don't feel drawn to listen to it, you don't have to. But truly, what does make you a philosopher? You know, the question was, what makes you a philosopher? What did you study?
That's right.
And I said, well, I studied myself. And they said, well, what degree did you have? I said, I don't have a degree on a piece of paper. My degree comes from within me, and it doesn't need to be proved. You know, and I spoke to her and I said, well, think about this. There's people that study philosophy, and then there's people who are philosophers. And the people who study philosophy study philosophers. Okay. Now you look at it. We've had some great philosophers in our lives, in our history, I should say. You know, Einstein was a philosopher. You know, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, Buddha was a philosopher. But the ones that were philosophers weren't studying philosophy. So you're either a philosopher or you're not. It's like you're either pregnant or you're not. Now, sure, to become a philosopher, you go and you feed your mind and you may study philosophy. And philosophy could just be, we could use the word life. Okay, you could be studying life. And you could be reading text and going to seminars and you're studying philosophy, you're studying life. But ultimately, the only time you get to truly have a direct experience of what philosophy is about or what life is about is when you become life itself. It's when you become a philosopher. You can't do philosophy, you've got to be a philosopher.